Hakeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
I would like to thank the Honorable Chairman and Honorable Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters.
INEC applauds House on efforts to establish Electoral Offences Commission.
The head of the agencies are to appear. We will communicate to them the appropriate date.
And House summons Ministers of Power, Finance, others over Azura power deal and perennial power failure. Welcome to another interesting package of the program House Tickets, a weekly program that documents the workings of the legislature with focus on the House of Representatives. The House is still on its summer recess, and just like we promised, we will continue to bring to you activities of our elected representatives in the House as they unfold. We have reports from the committee rooms where some committees of the House have been working tirelessly to address issues and at the same time seeking solutions to those issues. The House Committee on Electoral Matters, in collaboration with Policy and the Legal Advocacy Center PLAC, recently held a public hearing on a bill for an act to establish the Electoral Offences Commission. Likewise, the ad-hoc committee, set up to investigate hanging and unclaimed funds, as well as the House Finance Committee, sat within the last 1 week. Details of all this coming your way after the short timeout. Don't go away.
The entire purpose of the legislative agenda is to direct our legislative resources and efforts in a coordinated effort to ensure the well-being of the individual in a life of safety and freedom. That is a high ambition, but it's well worth the effort. We have passed landmark legislation to fix our oil and gas industry, reform the police, and reorganize the corporate administration system in our country. We have considered and passed meaningful legislation that impacts all areas of our national life.
Welcome back. House Ticket starts off with the public hearing held by the House Committee on Electoral Matters in collaboration with Policy and the Legal Advocacy Center PLAC. The one-day public hearing on a bill to establish the Electoral Offences Commission had in attendance relevant key stakeholders such as the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), amongst others. Declaring the hearing open, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, who was represented by the Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Idris Wasi, said reforming the nation's electoral laws has become a priority of the House in its determination to achieve an effective and efficient electoral legal framework for a free, fair and credible elections in the country.
One will acknowledge that even our recent governorship elections in Cttee and Osun State signifies milestone in Nigeria's democratic evolution. There is no doubt that a lot of work still needs to be done to take the country to the point where elections are devoid of the usual challenge of violence, fraud, abuse of process. A review of the past elections indicate that the need for the National Assembly to take necessary legislative steps to address identified challenges and plug the loopholes encountered with the conduct of elections in this country.
The Chairman, Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, Senator Kabiru Gaya, was also present at the hearing. He gave his views on the proposed establishment of a commission to try electoral offences.
The public hearing on the Electoral Offences Commission Bill is a fallout of several electoral reforms committees set up by at different times by the government. First of all, Justice Awesi Commission in 2007, Lemu Committee on the Post-Election Violence 2011, National Conference in 2014, and the Kianamani Constitution and Electoral Reforms Committee in 2016. These committees have made recommendations bordering on financial and administrative independence, and unbundling the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), introducing of electronic voting, establishment of political parties tribunal, and Electoral Offences Commission.
Representative Aishatu Jibril Duku, who is chairing the Committee on Electoral Matters, said that the bill, when it becomes law, will empower the Commission to punish electoral offenders and address the issues of impunity against electoral process, among other things.
The proposed Commission will now have the power to arrest, investigate and prosecute alleged electoral offenders. More significantly, with less number of legal officers and with other operational deficiencies, INEC clearly does not have the needed human capacity to prosecute electoral offenses committed across Nigeria's 973 polling units, 8,809 wards, 360 federal constituencies, 109 senatorial districts, and 774 local government areas. Indeed, INEC herself has admitted that it lacks the wherewithal to cleanse the system. For example, its inability to prosecute even 1% of the 870,000 alleged electoral offenses committed in the 2011 general election is an affirmation of the necessity of a paradigm shift on how we deal with electoral offenses in Nigeria. INEC should be detached from handling electoral offenses and be left to solely focus on its core mandate of conducting election and facing post-election assignments.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, in his submission, applauded the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, over its proposal to establish an Electoral Offences Commission, insisting that the electoral offenders and their sponsors must be punished. He said that the reform of the electoral process cannot be complete without effective sanctions on violators of the laws. The INEC boss said the electoral body looks forward to the day when highly placed sponsors of thuggery, including high-profile figures that seek to benefit from these violations, are arrested and prosecuted.
On behalf of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, I would like to thank the Honorable Chairman and Honorable Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters in particular, and the leadership of the National Assembly in general for organizing this public hearing. The ballot box snatcher is unlikely to be a beneficiary of the election. The person who gives money at the polling unit is unlikely to be a beneficiary of the election. And these shenanigans will not stop until we get to their sponsors, the high-profile sponsors of these violations, and make an example out of them. However, much as the Commission would like to see more successful prosecution of offenders, our effort is hampered by obvious constraints. INEC is basically an electoral commission with extensive responsibilities.
The proposed bill received wide praises from most of the stakeholders at the hearing, who saw it as a welcome development that will bring sanity into the country's electoral process. However, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, differed in its view about the bill, calling it a duplication of its function. Deborah Adamu Ete, an assistant commander of the commission, who represented the chairman of the commission, Abdurrashid Bawa, said that strengthening the mandate of the commission through an appropriate law will be the best way to go.
The offenses created by the proposed bills are offenses that have been prosecuted by the Nigerian police, the Federal Minister of Justice, the Independent Corrupt Practices and other related offenses commission and acts, including the EFCC. So it's our position that there's no need to create an agency solely for the purpose of investigating and prosecuting electoral offenses, most especially when our electoral processes is seasonal in nature.
Moving on to the activities of the House ad-hoc Committee on Hanging and Unclaimed Funds, the committee met with the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority, NEPZA. For details of this meeting and more, let's take the next report as compiled and presented from our studio.
NEPZA was not included as part of the
Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority, NEPZA, may have to repay the federal government the sum of 13.3 billion naira as unclaimed funds. This became obvious at the resumed hearing of the ad hoc committee investigating hanging and unclaimed funds in various accounts in commercial banks and MDAs, led by Representative Unyime Idem, which held on Tuesday, the 23rd of August, 2022. Representative Idem and members of the committee frowned at NEPZA's inability to reconcile its account in line with the position of the committee from documents presented to it by the consultants.
The information given was not extensive enough to draw useful conclusions. Therefore, NEPZA to provide up-to-date the following information on transaction taxes, contract/service, invoice sums paid, VAT, withholding tax, and stamp duties deducted, remittances to Federal Inland Revenue with evidences, outstanding/unremitted amounts. Others, BVN. NEPZA to provide the list of its accounts with commercial banks pre and post BVN policy and details of its account without BVN. Provide bank statement of such account from inception to March 31st, 2022. And it was
earlier, NEPZA's Director of Finance and Accounts, Oyeshola Oyekunle, who represented the Managing Director of the authority, said it remitted 3.92 billion naira into the Federation account instead of 2.3 billion naira, while adding that the excess is as a result of a circular from the Ministry of Finance, which mandated the agency to pay 25% of operating surplus into government accounts.
And it was within the period of Mrs. Adioso that the circular came and included NEPZA. But before that, the Honorable Minister of Finance there, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, had already written to every agency, which was corroborated by Honorable Jube. And I think it was signed when he was in the Chairman on Appropriation and was co-signed by the Senate that 25%, whether you make surplus or you don't make surplus, whether once you are operating under government, you must remit 25%. And we have been religiously fulfilling that.
Some members of the committee had questions to ask the agency.
I want the ED to categorically explain to this committee the said circular he's referring to. Where is the source of that circular? When and why? Was it only applicable to their own organization? If you're not owing to the fact that the sum of 13 billion, are you saying that it's fictitious or okay, it's not fictitious? So where did this 13 billion come from? And you now, because you were trying to mention of other issues. So if this 13 billion is not what you are owing, but it reflects on our document, can you now tell us what that 13 billion is? All the grant, capital fund, that's capital asset, okay, so now so it just did that one as revenue. Okay, so and now if you, with this 13 billion, yes sir, if we tell you to separate it, 1 billion capital, 3 billion this, 5 billion this, and this and that, it will give you the 13 billion. Are you saying that's what it will give us? Yes, it will give us 13 billion. It will definitely, because after we have done all these things, when we now went to go and business, what are we supposed to pay? We now find out that we are owing, as at 1st December, 161 million naira, which we have subsequent, that's as at 2020, which we have subsequently, we have our letter from Accountant General and the receipt to show that all this money has been cleared.
The committee, however, gave NEBSA 1 week to sit with its consultants to reconcile accounts or be forced to pay over 13 billion naira to federal government coffers.
This committee is going to avail you again another 1 week grace period to ensure that this issue is properly resolved. Failure to do that, the committee will not have a choice than to compel your agencies to refund the sum of 13.3 billion naira to federal government. That is the stand of the committee.
In another development, the House of Representatives has invited the Ministers of Power, Finance and Heads of Bureau of Public Procurement (BPP) and the Niger Delta Power Holding Company (NDPHC) over the $33 million Azura Power Purchase Agreement. Other agencies invited include Nigerian Bulk Electricity Transmission (NBET), Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN), and Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC). Representative James Faleke, chairman of House Committee on Finance, investigating alleged breach of agreement and perennial power failure in the country, invited heads of all agencies in Abuja on Tuesday, the 23rd of August, 2022.
The head of the agencies are to appear. We will communicate to them the appropriate dates that it will be convenient for all of us.
Representative Faleke said the agencies will be brought before the committee to explain their role in the power deal, adding that the appropriate date will be communicated to the affected agencies. The committee, however, discovered that Azura Power Plant had not been able to deliver the 450 megawatt of electricity agreed to with TCN to the national grid since the contract was signed.
You awarded contracts for the construction of that line. You even had variations of that contract. If I'm wrong, you should say so. You even have variations of that contract. That line that was meant for you to, that line that was supposed to be constructed by you to evacuate the power from Azura, that line has not been completed up to today. But here we are taking power now, according to you, from Azura, using another line. Something Oshobo, you said? Abi? That's what you are using to take the line. And I asked you a very vital question. The Benin Oshobo was meant to take 600 megawatts to the people. There is no way, and I asked you, please clarify, that Benin Oshobo can take 600 plus 450 at the same time.
It can carry 600 megawatts. That's the parameter of the transmission line. It doesn't mean that it is carrying 600. But it can carry 600. So it depends on which load we have before Azura.
I want to know why TCN go into agreement on the PPA that we have to pay. My problem is paying the 33 million for what we cannot see, what is not there. The power is not there, you are not supplying it. Why can't you gather, when you gather, the amount you gather, why can't you just go on that so that we will not be paying, we will not be, what you have not gathered, the 450 that you said, the Azura, for example, they are to supply, to have to be 600. Because I can see that there is favorism.
If you were carrying sometimes 600, sometimes 300, how are you now able to carry another 400 in the same line? We need a lot of flexibility. Not that because you have that line, you will not expand your grid. Grid is always, more population is coming on, more places are built, more demand, so there is no way it will be static.
Yeah, but I want to put,
whether you have a way to evacuate Azura or not, you need to expand your grid.
Can you tell us how much we have invested on the new line that was supposed to carry Azura? How much you have collected from national ports?
The original contract sum was US dollars 33,455,815.91. Then the Naira portion is 3,796,246,066.76. Total amount paid to date is USD 33,432,399.04. This money is in the LC. Then The Naira Boshi is 1,080,493,737.10. Now the amount outstanding is USD 23,416.87. Then the Naira Boshi is 1,160,254,697.68. And level of completion is 60%.
Representative James Faleke, however, told the Managing Director, TCN, Engineer Sule Abdulaziz, to present its budget allocation from 2002 and the contract awarded, as well as the certificates by TCN on power transmission line. He said that if Azura will demand money in dollars from power being generated, Nigeria should also demand money from Azura in dollars for power being used from the national grid.
They also take from the national grid.
Yes.
If they take from the national grid, Nigeria is also entitled to take money from them in dollars, because we are paying them in dollars. I mean, as a Nigerian,
The committee also asked TCN to provide it with its internally generated revenue IGR from 2010, including its audit report, while also picking holes on the IGR being spent by TCN outside budgetary provision. The committee in its ruling invited all relevant ministries, departments and agencies to appear at the next sitting to clear the air on salient issues raised by TCN. The committee adjourned sitting with the total budget allocation for all the power projects in the country from inception and monies paid to contractors.
You're still on to House Ticket, coming your way on the NTA Parliament. Away from committee activities, leader of the 9th House of Representatives, lawmaker Alhassan Ado Doguwa, on 14th of August 2022, through his constituency project envelope, distributed about 12 Toyota Hilux for security agencies in Kano State. The security agencies that benefited from the constituency project include the Doguwa Tudungwada Police Division and military base at Falgore Game Reserve, Kano State. Others are Police Command, 3 Brigade Kano and Karota, among others. Constituency project is one way lawmakers give their constituents qualitative representation and contribute to tackling pertinent challenges for the electorate. Time to end the program here, as we urge you to follow our social media handles showing on your screen to catch up with our previous programs. Let us do this again on this same station for more updates and activities of our lawmakers elected at the legislature. Until I come your way again, stay safe and God bless Nigeria.